Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing absolutely wonderfully. I'm so excited to be back. The last time that I filmed a YouTube video, I still lived in California, I was not engaged, and I was working a completely different job. A lot has changed. One thing that hasn't changed is that I still love books and I still have this weird innate desire to make videos and talk about them on the internet. This first video is going to be a April recap. It ended up being a lot of prize-winning fiction and a surprising amount of Oprah Winfrey book club picks. Oprah and I have similar book taste, which I don't know how to feel about that, but there you have it. Again, I hope you guys have been doing so wonderfully. Let me know what your month of reading was like in April, and thank you so much for watching. Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver wasn't a book that was really on my radar. I only really picked this book up because of the Pulitzer Prize. I have a sort of loose goal of reading the last 20 years of Pulitzer Prize winning books from 1998 onwards. I was born in 1998, so that's why I picked that year. All of the Pulitzer Prize books that I read so far, The Overstory, The Goldfinch, and now this, have been amazing. I think I read one more and I can't remember which one, but regardless, all of them have been amazing. And so I'm so glad that I did pick this book up because I otherwise wouldn't have. It's about a boy who lives in the Appalachian region in the United States. It borrows its plot and cast from the Charles Dickens novel David Copperfield. Those two things combined just didn't really entice me. I ended up loving this book. It has a lot of ingredients that I've come to realize I adore. It's told in the first person perspective. It starts in the main character's childhood and follows them through some ups and downs in their lives. The downs are really, really tragic. This formula applies to some of my favorite books, Jane Eyre, the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb. There's something about the intimacy of the first person perspective that, I don't know, I just eat it up every single time. I also feel like Kingsolver's writing, the way that she describes the Appalachian region, Lee County, where Demon lives, is so beautiful. One of the sort of conversations this book is trying to have is the way that people view people from these regions. They call them rednecks and hillbillies and think of them as these sort of ignorant backwater people. This book is really an answer to that. It shows the beauty of these communities as well as the bad parts, like the poverty and the racism, the tragedy of it all, yes, but there also is genuine community and warmth and resilience and diversity within these communities. One of the details that I really remember from this book is when Demon is talking to his friend Emmy, who is from the city. She lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, which feels so far away from where Demon lives, even though I think geographically they would be like lumped together as like sort of being pretty close together. And he's describing fireflies to Emmy, and the way he describes it is so beautiful. He says, "The fireflies were lighting up the sky like tiny stars drifting through the trees." It's such a small moment, but it really captures the quiet beauty of Demon's world, the closeness of nature that people in the country enjoy. But of course, this book is also deeply about the opioid crisis. A couple years ago, I read Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe. That book is about the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma, really where the opioid crisis started from as a top-down look. This book is more concerned with the bottom of this crisis, the people at the very bottom, and the children who are affected and really bear the worst of the consequences. It's just a beautiful, beautiful novel. The next book I wanted to talk about is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. What a title and what a book. I am obsessed with the old woman who is at the center of this novel, first and foremost because it is so rare to see women over a certain age be the center of attention and be the main characters of books. Old women in society are really sort of relegated to the margins. That is not the case here in this book, even though Yanina, the main character, a lot of people don't really take her seriously. Yanina is such an eccentric, quirky, and unapologetically herself character. I love her. She's incredible. This book is insane. It's about I read it for a climate fiction book club. It's not really climate fiction, but the best way to describe it would be a murder mystery, and it's not really a murder mystery either. It just really defies description. The book opens sort of dramatically with Yanina finding her neighbor, who she hates, by the way. It turns out that he choked on the bones of a deer that he poached. It really just seems like the deer took revenge on this man. As the book progresses, all these deaths start cropping up. Nature and animals themselves are out to get revenge. That's part of where the murder mystery comes in, but also this book is such an interesting character study of Yayyy. She is such a layered person. You have one idea of her when she's introduced to you because she sort of goes on these long rants about astrology. Astrology, of course, is sort of pseudoscience that you often associate with people who are, you know, not super serious people, but the more you learn about Yayyy, your perspective on her completely changes. The one thing that I will say about this book is that you really need to read until the very, very end of this book to get the full experience. A lot of people in my book club said that they did not like this book until the very end, and then it all sort of clicked together. I know that might be a little bit of an unfair ask to be like, hey, you have to finish this book all the way through to really get the full experience. Like, that seems kind of obvious. I would just say that if you're on the fence and you're not sure, finish it out, and you might end up being as obsessed with it as I am. I was on board from the very beginning because I absolutely adored Yayyy, but that was just me. Small Things Like These by Keegan is a small but absolute gut punch of a book. Both of her books have been like this. I read Foster last year and I'm just continually astounded by the amount of tenderness that she is able to pack into such a small amount of space. She really says what she needs to say and does not use a single extra word. Small Things Like These follows this man named Bill as he goes about his normal life. He's a coal deliverer and it's set in the 80s, and he has this really lovely family with 4 daughters and his wife, and it's really this cozy Christmassy vibe of him just going around and talking to his neighbors, discussing Christmas presents, having coffee, all these very cozy, lovely things. But also this book deals with the Irish laundries and the Catholic Church's abuses during the 80s. It's just so interesting to see the concept of Christmas and religion contrasted in this way in this book. It's really brilliant. There's not a lot more I can say about this book without just giving it all away, but I highly recommend Keegan, and if anyone's seen the movie, I'd be really curious to hear what your thoughts were. The last couple books that I wanted to talk about are part of the same trilogy, the Dreamer Trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a trilogy that follows the character of Ronan Lynch. He is a dreamer, so he can take things out of his dreams, which is such a cool magical ability. It's probably one of my favorite magical abilities. Maggie Stiefvater is so imaginative with that and all the world building in this trilogy. She promises a great plot of basically Ronan and other people like him, other dreamers, are being hunted by a group of people who believe that dreamers are going to cause the end of the earth or the apocalypse. And it's also sort of like a family drama of Ronan and his 2 brothers, Matthew and Declan. Of course, it's a follow-up to the Raven cycle, so a lot of really great stuff was promised. I don't think that it quite delivered. With apocalyptic stakes, it's really hard to get it right. It's just a lot of things to be juggling, and I felt like the more intimate aspects of this trilogy, where it is just Ronan arguing with his brother, felt so much more compelling than the apocalyptic stakes that Stiefvater sets up. I also felt like some of the newer characters that Maggie Stiefvater introduces that weren't from the Raven cycle aren't as interesting, and I just didn't really care about them, and it took me a little longer than I would have hoped to develop a connection with them. Yeah, if you haven't read the Raven cycle, I would absolutely just skip this trilogy. It's not going to be anything meaningful to you. If you are a Raven cycle fan, depending on what you liked about the Raven cycle, if you were a really big shipper, skip this series because there's absolutely no shipping content for you, unfortunately. But if you liked Ronan and you liked the magic and the vibe of Raven cycle, you might enjoy this. But I did get closure on what the cast of my favorite YA series has been up to after all these years, and that in and of itself was worth it to me, I suppose. That's it for my April reads. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below if you made it to this point of what your favorite April reads were. I would love to hear, and yeah, thank you so much for having me. I will see you in the next video. Take care.